Hey guys, I was thinking doing a series of videos about the garden this year, in addition to other things on the farm, and just see where it goes. So I thought today I'd start by giving a little tour of the garden and just show what's already growing and what has miraculously survived the winter. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So let's go. um, Behind me is the barn and the pasture. A bunch of goats and ducks. Happy little critters enjoying the sun. And now I'm going to flip this. So like over here along the fence, things look pretty dead. But if you come up here and you actually look closely, there's a whole bunch of comfrey starts at the base of the old plants. You can just see the little bits of green just peeking through there. So we're going to have a whole bunch of comfrey. I had 5 plants here this last year and let them go to seed and all that. So we're going to have a lot of comfrey this year. This is the lavender. It says it's French lavender. And oh yeah, I do see some little bits of flowers there. That's so pretty. But yeah, this has survived the winter just fine here in Southwest Washington. And it's in a pot with good compost in it. Got a few weeds in the bottom of it I need to pull out, but it's doing fine. Got this little thyme plant. It's funny, it kind of looks silver, but come down and you see all the fresh new growth coming up. And this is going to be really nice and lush and bushy. And right here next to it, got some chives coming up out of the ground. Woohoo! And then as we come along the fence, we got our sage. Year before last, I had a sage plant in here. And in preparation for winter, I cut it down and I mulched it. And it died. Apparently, you're not supposed to cut them down. And if you do mulch them, you do not actually bury it in the mulch. So you live and you learn. This plant I got last year and it was covered in snow just a couple weeks ago and it clearly survived just fine. I actually pulled a few leaves off it yesterday to go with some goat that I was cooking up. And it's really beautiful. I love how lush and green. And it almost has a little bit of a silvery hue to it, but definitely green at the same time. It's so pretty. And more thyme. You can tell this one's more green. Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of green coming up. And more chives. Little pops of green. And over here we've got our nice big barrel full of oregano. And this stuff is awesome. I love this stuff. Oregano is so easy. If you're going to first start out doing plants, I recommend doing a big pot of oregano because it's like the easiest thing in the world. It's so nice. And this will grow up nice and thick and it'll actually send up shoots of flowers when it goes to seed and everything. I do need to add some more compost to it just to feed it a little extra. But it's doing great. You can see all the green. Even from this distance, you can see all the green. It's doing great. And more thyme. I have a lot of thyme on my hands this year. Yes, pun intended. Beautiful green. And some more chives. And then over here, my first year having a rosemary plant. I had it in a tiny little pot, and again, in preparation for winter, I cut it down and I mulched it and I had it nice and thick, and I was like, yes, this will keep it warm, it's going to survive the winter. No, the whole thing died. It turned into just this pathetic little twiggy thing. And so I ditched it and I got a new one last year, and this guy has just been growing beautiful all winter long next to his thyme buddy. And you can see this beautiful pot from the house. Our house is over there, and from the window you can see this guy growing up, and he looks so tall, and it's like, he really is quite tall. It's lovely, and it smells amazing. I love the smell of fresh rosemary. It's just absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful. And that's my time. And yep. Got a few little bits of chives starting to pop up here. Kind of a reddish brown right now, but they'll turn bright green later. Basil did not survive, which is totally normal. Basil will never survive unless you move it to the greenhouse, which our greenhouse, the plastic, did not survive the winter. We had some really rough winds this year, and yeah, it split the plastic. So we're gonna need to figure out what do we need to do to prepare it better for next year. We got time to figure that out though. And then here we've got a potato bed, and it does have potatoes in it. I was just scraping at it a little bit because I thought I found a tunnel in it. Whatever made it apparently is gone though, so no biggie. I did find a couple little potatoes growing, so I buried them again. I am going to top this with some more compost just to feed potatoes, because they do require a lot of good fertilizer. And goat manure can't get much better than that. Over here, not much going on here, but the horseradish is starting to come up. I definitely need to add more compost to this one too, because we've got several heads coming up already. And they're, oh yeah, and there's a whole bunch of them over here too. Gonna have a lot of horseradish, I think. I'm thinking I'm just gonna let the horseradish take over this bed, because then we'll have lots of horseradish leaf I can give to the goats as a dewormer. And yes, they will eat the hot leaves. The leaves are very hot. My kids tried one of them a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh, I was not expecting that. And the goats just love them though. And then over here, oh yeah, and we do harvest the roots of the horseradish, so we can freeze it and use it in cooking and stuff. Hoping to actually do some horseradish paste with some of the stuff I saved last year. Here, our rhubarb died down as usual, and it's starting to come up again. It's got this first little leaf coming up. You good thing. And it's got another spot over here where it's coming up. I'm so excited. We've got 2 of them. And then this looks like, I thought this was a raspberry earlier. Maybe this is a raspberry? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, actually, I think these are one of those white carrots. We planted some of those last year, and then we never got to harvest them because we weren't great about watering. But yeah, that's actually one of the white carrots. I think they're Amarellos, but I need to look that up to confirm, so don't quote me on that. And we got some more chives, and got some lemon balm that jumped from its pot over into here, and it did great. I need to dig it up and get it back in its pot, because I prefer my mint stay in a specific pot so they don't just take over the place. And over here, this bed, it's strawberries all around the edge, and here, I'll show you. You can actually see little signs of life. Little bits of strawberries starting to come up. Little tiny pops of green. Ooh, that's a nice one. Yeah. Little leaves just starting to uncurl. And we did have a bunch of marigolds down the center of this last year, and it was beautiful. It was so fun. I might do another strip this year just to help feed the bees and attract pollinators. And these guys totally took me by surprise, but I had actually taken some garlic from the store, soaked it, and planted it last year, and we actually harvested quite a bit of it. But some of it was still too tiny to harvest, so I just left it, and it overwintered. And now I've got a little army. This cute little army of garlic coming up. I'm so excited. I'll be able to use some of it for starts to start more garlic, and some of it to eat and use in cooking. I'm so excited. And then here we have yellow yarrow, which is starting to come up. That's great. And there's the lemon balm. I'm not sure what it was, but we had a pest last year that kept coming in and it would just rip up my lemon balm. Apparently, I had some sort of vendetta against my lemon balm for some reason. I don't know why. It was the weirdest thing. Well, I do have 2 pots of mints. I have chocolate mint and I think that's a peppermint. Chocolate mint and peppermint. And then lemon balm mint. So yeah, I need to move the balm that's in the bed back into the pot to be with the original. And I want to get more of these pots because they're really cool. But the mints are taking a little while to come up, so I think they need some more compost, but they are coming. They're just taking their time. This was my little miracle from last year. I have tried for years to get Brussels sprouts to grow, and I've always failed. And then last year, the ducks attacked them, so they weren't really worth harvesting because it was like all eaten. But the ones that survived are still growing. It's amazing. They even got snowed on, and they're still going. It's so great. And they're even getting a bunch of fresh new leaf. Look at that. And it's like, yeah, they're not pretty because they've still got some dead stuff from last year on them, but you can see the little Brussels sprouts. They're so cute. Just amazing. So I'm going to plant more. I'm going to add more stuff to this bed, definitely, to feed them. And I'm going to start more Brussels sprouts and get those planted in here too, because that would be great. We love Brussels sprouts in our family. Over here we'd planted some tomatoes and some bell peppers, but the bell peppers never came up, and we were not consistent with our watering during the heat of summer. We don't generally have to water much, maybe twice a week during the heat of summer, but it was so hot and we had a very stressful summer, so we just let it fall by the wayside, and so tomatoes and stuff didn't really take off. We did get this humongous sunflower volunteer though, which is still standing, and I need to take it down, but figure what the heck. I'll just leave it for now until I really have to do it. And this was a potato bed last year. Got some good potatoes from it. But apparently we forgot to replant in it, which is okay. We'll plant in it this year. I might do something else just so we have some other varieties, since we do have the other potato bed going. It just means I have another bed I can work on. Hey! I just need to top it up and decide what I'm putting in there. And then today I was working on this bed, going ahead and getting a start. So you see on this side, I didn't put as much, and it's because I overwintered a bunch of beets over along this side. And they were just too small to harvest, so I decided to just leave them, and they'll grow up good this spring, and then I can harvest them, and if I let them go long enough, I'll be able to harvest seed from them too, since they overwintered. That's something about beets, is you have to overwinter them in order to get seed from them. It's interesting. I did it last year, and so I actually have some stems still in my garage in a bag that I need to harvest the seeds from, because they're the greens from overwintered beets, and they have all the seed pods and stuff, so I need to work on that. But yeah, and then I took off the topsoil over on this whole section, put a good layer of goat manure compost, spread a bunch of lettuce seeds, and then put the topsoil back on, and then covered it lightly with some sawdust. And the sawdust and the topsoil, they both work together to just help keep all the good nutrients in the soil. And it's really good soil. The compost is amazing. It's been breaking down over the last 6 to 8 months, and there's so many worms in it, and it's so dark and rich, and it's like, oh my gosh, I could take a bath in this stuff. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's wonderful soil. New phone. I'm still figuring out the new layout and everything. Anyways, so that's the state of the garden so far. So we had some things that really surprised me last year. Some things I definitely learned. And yeah. And now it's a new year, so we gotta plan a new garden using the same layout, but it's gonna be a whole new garden with different ideas, based on different things that we've learned. So, yeah. Well, that was a walkthrough of the current state of the garden. And I'm working on some different videos talking about different things I'm planting and why I plant them the way I do. Why I'm doing it this way this year and I haven't in past. Things like that. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll want to maybe catch the next one when I get around to putting it together and posting it, because I am doing little video segments as I put things together, and then once that topic is complete, I feel like I've reached the end of where I need to do that one, then I'll put all the segments together and get them posted. I'm talking too much. It's drying out my throat. That's why I prefer doing small segments, because then my throat gets a little rest between the talking. I don't really talk this much in person. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the little walk through the garden, and I'll catch you on the next video, hopefully. God bless.